now like to welcome to the floor our next speaker, Philip Mertes, co-founder and CEO of Evocal Health, and he'll be speaking on unlocking the human voice as a biomarker for health and longevity. Philip, pleasure to have you with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Franco. Thank you very much in Deep Knowledge Group and Aging Analytics. It's great to have such a nice platform here, a platform for exchanging ideas, connecting with industry leaders across the world, and this in the field of longevity. It's great to be here. So I want to take you, or I want to invite you to join me on a journey, and a journey that we're on, that I'm personally on with my company so far. It's the journey of unlocking the human voice as a biomarker for health. And as I know that the group is quite diverse and consisting of physicians, inventors, innovators, I will make it quite scientific and less practical. It's all about the practical application. I will dive with you into the why, the how, and the what. The why, so it's all about why the human voice as a biomarker is so important and so attractive. The how, I will dive deep with you into the topic, what's special about digital and voice biomarkers. And third, I will go into the what with you, how we develop a completely new kind of biomarker. So the journey we're on, it's the journey of longevity. And the journey begins with the birth and the end of the life. And there's the significant space in between. It's the journey in between. It's that what's consisting for longevity. It's extending human lifespan according to health span. And I have good news for you. We're united. We're united by the passion to extend the human health span according to lifespan with technology and with science. And this conference is a landmark to show this. So what is your personal definition of longevity? When I ask this question on stage or in conference talks, I always hear different things. And I want to wrap up this whole thing in the beginning of my talk, just to allow anyone to follow me. So it's living longer while remaining healthy and vibrant. It's the space in between death and life. It's preventing diseases, so not getting ill, not getting sick. It's not dying, the most basic thing at all. It's looking and feeling younger. And for many people, it's growing biologically younger while growing chronologically older. And this is some kind of the secret to longevity. And when we look to the dimensions of longevity, it's all about first, prevention of premature death, second, life extension, and age reversal. And we have excellent talks so far heard at this conference. So what are biomarkers? I want to boil it down to make it compatible for everyone. A biomarker is a piece of anatomical, physiological, or biochemical data that is used to diagnose or develop a treatment plan for a patient. This is the official definition of the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Now we're diving deep now in the field of digital biomarkers, and a digital biomarker is a biomarker that is developed from data. So we are looking at data that are analyzed using advanced analytics, AI, and we extract previously invisible insights. So you imagine, or you remember this slide. It's the importance of digital biomarkers. There is the end and there is the birth of life. And when it comes to the space in between, I have visualized here dots, and every dot you can see here is one day in the life, 1 year of a patient. There are these red dots. These are dots where symptoms worsen. The patient that is sick, that it has an illness, has a worsening of symptoms. The blue ones are naturally those days where the patient seeks for the clinician, or when the patient who is in a clinical trial is reported to the clinic. And you see there's pretty much gray or white space in between. These are all days there where we have no clinical picture of the patient, where we have no data so far. And this is where digital biomarkers come into place. So the question for us was, what if we could early detect and monitor diseases with nothing more than our voice and a smartphone, using the power of AI and data analytics? And this is what we're on with Evocal Health so far. We're unlocking the human voice as a biomarker for health. And we're a digital diagnostics company based in Germany. During the past years, we have developed a device agnostic platform that enables us to collect, monitor, and then analyze voice data for self-management, health monitoring, and decentralized clinical trials. It's a biomarker that is quite special. It's non-invasive, it's cloud-based, and the whole suite is privacy compliant. So boiling it down, The voice as a biomarker is a brand new way to measure and monitor our health every day. They deliver, and we have heard very interesting talks so far, objective and unbiased data in the home care environment, which makes it quite interesting for remote patient monitoring and decentralized clinical trials. These deliver non-invasive insights, so we do not have the patient having much of involvement. So we are a biomarker that can be used with minimum patient involvement. And this is what makes the human voice as a biomarker quite special. So digital biomarkers are changing the way we understand diseases, giving a more precise picture of a patient's disease progression and his or her response to a certain treatment or drug. The mission behind: we don't want to have this gray space here where we do not have data. We want to remote patient monitor the patient. So let's come to the voice as a biomarker. We're currently in a very interesting time. We have voice interfaces all over. Big tech and user demands are speeding up. The convenience and conversational AIs are something that is quite mainstream so far. COVID-19, we have heard this example so far, has accelerated the demand for digital health, and we're currently actively employed by health authorities. There is this longevity economy, what this conference is all about. People aged 50 plus, especially here in Germany and the Western world, will comprise 41% of the population, tripling their GDP impact by 2050. And there is this big topic of value-based healthcare. The global healthcare system is currently shifting to evidence-based medicine, patient-centered care, delocalization, and cost effectiveness. And all of this is for us the sign that there is a big need. There's a big need for fast, non-invasive, and cost-effective new biomarkers. I want to now dive with you into the mode of action. So you might ask yourself, what is the medical ratio behind? Why is the human voice an interesting biomarker? And let's dive deep into this topic now. So the human voice, many people don't know this, is one of the most complex systems of the human body, and it's a powerful biomarker. When the human voice is produced, there is a very large set of tasks for the coordination of different organs, muscles, and sensory nerves that needs to be coordinated by the brain. And during the past years, we have shown that diseases significantly impact the physiology of major sound-producing systems. And changes in the acoustic or semantic parameters that we detect from the human voice are resulting in very disease-specific changes. You might know the situation when you talk to relatives, to your mother, to your partner, whoever. You hear them. When you talk to them, you hear that something is not going on. When I talk to my grandma, the first thing that she always reminds me to is, have you got enough sleep? Are you eating well? Or are you physically engaging enough? And this is what science has shown, that there is a medical ratio behind. So there's decade-long clinical research behind the human voice as a biomarker. It's showing that there are more than 3 promising indication fields. We have now more than 20 years of fundamental scientific research behind. There are more than 150 core publications about the human voice as a biomarker, and we deeply believe that the opportunity to unlock this interesting field is now using AI and ML. My co-founder Dirk has for more than 25 years started to discover the potential of the human voice in his early studies. And now with the very powerful smartphone devices and microphones in our pockets, it's the right time to unlock it and bring it mainstream and to the patient. I want to give you a little bit of an introduction into how our technology really works and what's the mode of action behind. So boiling it down, making it quite easy, there are 4 steps that we undertake when analyzing the human voice. At first, we're digitizing and normalizing voice samples. Then we correlate, or we detect different parameters in the human voice, 150 to 200 parameters that the voice is compromised of. And then our pattern recognition, AI and ML models come into place. And in the end, it's all about detection of correlations and causalities to indications using EPRO's evidence-based guidelines, and especially the clinical pictures that comes from EHRs and so far. The process of identifying clinical grade, and this is important to mention here, we do not talk about esoteric or other stuff. It's about clinical grade vocal biomarkers that are validated, that are medically validated in RCTs. And when we go into the process, there are 4 main parts. First, it's the part of data collection. We collect data, we collect voice recordings with our cloud-based solution, and we always need to have clinical data that we can compromise and that we can label our data sets with. The second is the data processing part. We normalize everything. If it's the noise behind, if it's the phone ringing, or if it's you standing in the traffic jam. We extract parameters and then we have very nice labeled data sets. And then this is the important part when our data analytics and our biostatistical analysis come into place. We train the ML models, we identify candidates as in every drug development process. It's always the same here in the vocal biomarker detection process. And then we validate and replicate with internal validation test sets and external validation test sets. Listening to this talk now, you might ask yourself, where's the technology standing? What are technology readiness levels? And I always like to emphasize this in the 4 horizons of vocal biomarker innovation. You are probably all familiar with this whole concept of the horizons of innovation. And we have put this into a very nice, how I think, visualization here. So the first stage, the first horizon was digital health management, having the patient being in his or her baseline. We were quite easily able to position the patient in his or her disease progression, having his or her baseline data. Horizon 2 is when digital therapeutics or self-management devices come into place. Having Horizon 1 technology allows us to have longitudinal data and to monitor the patient as a digital therapeutic and in self-management cases. Horizon 3 is all about bringing the diagnostic component in it, having very specific models, having very sensitive technology. And this is where we're all aiming for. This is what this conference is all about. It's prediction. Our big mission is to go into prediction with the technology within 3 to 5 years. And predicting health, I think, is one of the most interesting things to unlock the human voice as a biomarker for health. So I went a little bit on the gas pedal here because I know that the conference was quite out of schedule. I hope that you have questions. I always invite any one of you to join me to connect via LinkedIn or follow our company on LinkedIn. You see here the barcodes that you can scan. And yeah, I was very happy to talk to you. I'm excited for the further talks now to listen to. And yeah, thank you, Franco.
Well, the pleasure and the excitement is all ours, Philip. So thank you so much for that. We have a great deal of respect and prioritization for innovative modes of biomarkers. I know that our next speaker, Anastasia, has also done a lot of work on image and photograph-based biomarkers of aging. So I think you'll be keenly interested in this next talk as well. A reminder also to all of our viewers who might have questions for Philip to post them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and we'll do our best to address them during the panel discussion.